Okay, in this lesson we're going to be learning the two easiest chords I know. We're going to be learning an E minor chord, and we're also going to be learning a D chord, but it's not a simple D chord. It has an F sharp on the bottom and a second and a sixth thrown in there. I guess you'd call it D sharp add 6 add 2 with an F sharp on the bottom if you wanted the full name of the chord, but it sounds really cool. Let's start with the E minor. Now you may be wondering, why do some chords, some of them are minor and some of them are not minor, some of them are other, a major chord or a diminished, whatever. It's just the quality of the sound. If you play, a normal, what we call a happy chord, major chord, we get that kind of a sound. But a minor chord is going to have a kind of a melancholy sound to it. And, there's just kind of sadder sounding chords. So if you ever play a minor chord, it's going to have that sadness to it. And if we don't say minor, we just assume that it's a major chord. So if someone says play a G chord, we just assume it's a major chord and it's not minor. And we'll get into that more later, but I don't want to get into too much musical theory there. So this is an E minor chord. And, you have 6 strings on the guitar, and you can do this on acoustic or electric. It doesn't matter. I recommend playing on an electric to start with, just because it's easier. The action is lighter. It's not so tough on your left-hand fingertips. And you can play acoustic songs on electric, but you can't really play electric songs with real heavy distortion and stuff on the acoustic and make it sound like you want it to. So I recommend getting an electric. Anyway, you have 6 strings, of course. When I say the low E, I'm talking about low in pitch, because there are actually 2 E strings on the extreme end. Here's the low E string, and then here's the high E string. Okay, and when I say the low E, I'm talking about pitch, not towards the sky or towards the ground, because we know lower is toward the ground and higher would be up, but we're talking about in pitch. So if I say low E, I'm talking about the string that's closest to the ceiling there, the thickest string there, and that's a low E. Okay, the next string right next to the low E is an A string. Okay, so if I say A string, I'm talking about this string right here. It's actually the 5th string. This is the 6th string, and this is the 5th one. And if we go more towards the floor here, we have the D string, and the D string is the 3rd one from the ceiling. So we have the low E, the A, the D, and the next string is going to be the G string right here. Okay, so there's the G string. If I say G string, that's what I'm talking about. It's the 6/5/4 3rd string, and the 2nd string will be the B string. If I say B, as in boy, we're talking about this string here. And this last string is an E, but it's the high E string. So remember, I'm talking about high as in pitch, so not towards the ceiling, but the highest in pitch. So it's this E here. Okay, so we have low E, A, D, G, B, and E. And you really need to memorize that. So that's it's really important that you memorize what the strings are, so you can know what I'm talking about quickly when I say D string or G string or B string. So we're going to learn the E minor chord first. Now in these lessons, we're going to be learning some open string chords first, which means that you're going to be fingering some strings, but some of the strings will be open, meaning you won't finger them, but you'll still want them to ring with the chord. And the first one is E minor. So let's get started. What we want to do is take our left hand, and we want to take our pointer finger, okay? And I'm going to put it on the 2nd fret on the A string. Now this is the A string, right? This one's the low E, so this one's the A string. I want 2nd fret. And when I say fret, I'm talking about here. This is the 1st fret. 1, 2. These spaces in between here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so forth. May help you to realize that the dot here, you may or may not have a dot here on the 3rd fret on your guitar, but they're odd numbers. 3, 5, 7, 9, and then when you get to the 2 dots here, it's going to be 12. Now some guitars are different, and they'll have different ways of showing that, but 3, 5, 7, 9, 12. And we want the 2nd fret here on the A string, okay? So this is the string I'm talking about right here, and I'll show you a lot of what I'm doing this way so you can see on the video, but of course you want your hand to be like this. So take your pointer finger with your fingertip, okay? Not the pad of your finger, and don't do this. Don't flatten your finger out, okay? Keep it curved. Play with your fingertip, okay? You need to be able to play with your fingertip, and you might, if your nails are too long, you won't be able to do it, so make sure your nails are trimmed down enough. So 2nd fret on the A string. It's kind of like a graph, you know. A string, 2, 2nd fret. So that is a B note. But anyway, that's the first string that you want down for your E minor chord. Now the next thing we're going to do is use our middle finger of our left hand, and we're going to press down in the 2nd fret as well on the D string. Okay, so this one's the D string, right? This one's the D, this one's the A. So we have both of these down on the 2nd fret. And if you're bored right now going, come on, then that's a great thing, because you don't want it to be too complicated. So I try to break it down as easy as I can. You want it to be that way, or as long as it can be. So 2nd fret on the A string and then the D string. And I call these sometimes the peace fingers, because, you know, when people go peace. So that's what I'm talking about, is the two thick fingers there, your pointer and your middle finger. 2nd fret on the A and D string. Once you have those down, okay, you need to press down. And make sure you don't pull the string down or push it up towards the ceiling, because that'll make the pitch change. And we want to do that sometimes when we play blues, you know. So we want bends in notes sometimes, but not in this open string chord here. So make sure you just come down right on top of the string and nothing else. Now once you have those down, then you take your right hand, and you can use a pick if you want to. Some people find it easier to start using their thumb, but you just want to test. Now I'm strumming up here so you can see what I'm doing. Of course, you want to be down here and strum this way, but you want to test the strings. Okay, we want to make sure the E's sounding. Now, what would happen if you accidentally had this finger touching the low E string, then you'd get that. The note wouldn't come out because you're touching it lightly, so you want to make sure you're not muting that string and that it's free to ring. Okay, then we test the next string, the A string on the 2nd fret. That one's okay. Then we test the D string, 2nd fret. That one's okay. Then the G. Here's the one you might mute by accident, by pulling your hand back just a little bit like that. Then you'll be touching that G string with the pad of your middle finger by accident. And you want to make sure that you're not doing that it's free to ring. So see how I did that? I went up on my fingertips and it fixed everything. So check all the strings, make sure they work, and there's a nice E minor chord. So now you have your first chord, E minor. Okay? Now, the next chord we're going to learn, it's a complicated chord theoretically. If you were studying music theory, you know, it's a complicated chord to explain that way, but it's not hard just to play the chord, and I like the sound of it. In fact, it's a chord that's used in a very popular song. You might recognize the song, but anyway, what we're going to do, I'm just going to call a D chord with an F sharp on the bass, add 6 and add 2, and that would be the name of the chord, but because it's a really, you know, it's cool sounding though, isn't it? All right. You can just call that a D chord if you want to. What we're going to do is take our pointer finger. We're still going to use the same 2 fingers on the left hand, okay? And we're going to go 2nd fret on the low E. All right, so let's do that. And then we're going to take the pointer finger and we're going to put it on the 2nd fret of the G string. Okay, now this string is the G string right here. So that's where you want your middle finger. So pointer finger here and middle finger here. Alright, so you have these 2 strings down on the 2nd fret. Now, there's something else you need to do. You have 2 fingers, but you need to do one more thing, and that's with this pointer finger. You want to do what we call mute. Remember when we did the E minor, I said make sure your finger isn't touching another string by accident? Well, you want it to touch the A string in this instance, because we don't want this low A to ring. Okay, so we don't want the A string to be ringing. So what you do, this finger has 2 jobs. It's going to, 1, hold down the string, and the second thing it's going to do is lay back a little bit and touch the A string so that it does not come out. Okay? So you want the low E to come out, but not this one. It's muted. And then they want the D string, and on the G string you have that 2nd fret, and you want the B string, and you want the high E. Alright, then you should strum that chord and you get this. Really nice sounding chord. Now go back and forth between the E minor and the D chord like this. And then switch. Back and forth. Okay? I'm going to do that back and forth like that. So there's that lesson, and I hope you